Chapter 12. When word reached Horde that God was returning, Haya began preparing for his arrival. A great outpouring of devotion followed. 10,000 musicians, 5,000 banner-bearers, 1,000 marshals and throne officers, and 100,000 volunteers offered themselves to go out and meet God and his companions. Haya approved, and the grandest procession ever seen in the lower heavens set out. As they journeyed, God's radiant ship of fire appeared, glowing with heavenly splendor. The marshals met the ship and took hold of its guiding handles. One by one, others joined, forming a unified escort. Only the musicians remained separate, playing and singing joyfully. When they reached Horde, Haya, overcome with emotion, ran from the throne like a child greeting a beloved parent. The crowd followed his lead, bursting into heartfelt celebration, their formal behavior forgotten in their joy. God and Haya eventually made their way to the throne and took their seats, restoring order. Haya welcomed God in Jehovah's name, honoring him for his wisdom, labor, and love. God, in return, expressed his gratitude for being home and glorified Jehovah for the reunion. A radiant light surrounded the throne, overwhelming many. Then Jehovah's power came upon Haya, and his voice spoke through him. Jehovah declared that the throne again belonged to God. He was to complete the mission he had been given, teaching heaven's ways and revealing Jehovah's rulership over all. Jehovah instructed God to set aside his travel garments and release his traveling host. His time of journeying was over. Haya stepped aside, the light moved upon God, and the people hailed him as he resumed his throne. God then praised Haya for faithfully leading in his absence, appointing him as his assistant with full authority over matters not directly concerning the Lord's. God declared the day a sacred one, marking the sun's shift from the northern line. This would be the New Year's Day, and a time of watch change in Horde. He proclaimed that the ruling body, formerly called the Council, would now be known as Moab, a governing assembly over all councils beneath it. Moab would no longer handle individual concerns, even those of lords, but would focus on cities, kingdoms, and judicial matters. Haya, meanwhile, was entrusted with managing affairs of a lesser degree, and was instructed to build his own house near the throne to serve as his base of operations. Chapter 13. God expanded the heavenly city of Horde, adding 1,000 more pillars of fire to enlarge the sacred circle and enhance its splendor. He summoned the heavenly recorders from the celestial libraries to select 100,000 new members for the House of Moab, the parliament. These were chosen not for how learned they were or how often they prayed, but based on how closely they resonated with Jehovah and harmonized with others. God explained that those who most reflect Jehovah's Spirit, those who serve others and let go of selfish desires, are best suited for divine leadership. Even the seemingly weak may be closest to the Creator. God instructed, anyone who had demonstrated a consistent pattern of serving others selflessly and growing in virtue would qualify for Moab. Based on this, the recorders made their selections. Workers from nearby heavens came together to build the temple of Moab. When it was completed, the newly chosen members were brought in and seated according to their spiritual rank. Once they were settled, God, from the throne, dedicated the house of Moab to Jehovah. He prayed for divine light and guidance, and in response, a heavenly light descended on the members, symbolizing approval from the archangels. The new members rose of their own accord, while the existing ones remained seated. God then made a fiery symbol above their heads, containing Jehovah's name, a circle, a cross, and the leaf of life sealing their oath to serve Jehovah's purpose. He addressed them with clarity. Their days of personal, one-on-one guidance were over. They were no longer to focus on individuals, for that work belonged to the Ashars on earth and the Oahspe in the heavens. Instead, their new responsibility was to minister to organized communities, factories, schools, hospitals both in heaven and on earth. He instructed them to form specialized groups, each responsible for a distinct area of service, according to their talents and wisdom. Each group would represent one unified voice in Moab, part of Jehovah's larger divine judgment. God then ordered them to organize into their groups as assigned and return to Moab to take their new seats in Jehovah's name.